The devastation is hard to describe. The effect of war hard to comprehend. The result is more than shattered buildings. It's shattered souls.
I hope that there's as much attention paid to rebuilding the souls of the people here as there is in rebuilding the streets and the buildings, because shattered souls last a very long time.
In this proud land we grew up strong.
Some Coloradans are helping to rebuild the shattered souls.
What do you think the kids are like over there?
They're hurt.
They're hurt.
Mary O'Callahan runs a daycare center in Castle Rock. With the help of her preschoolers, she is collecting pencils and school supplies for the war's most tragic victims, the children.
The kids are so innocent, and they're really at our mercy. Kids are the same wherever they are. It doesn't matter. They say kids all smile in the same language, and that's exactly it.
There is a family in Colorado for whom the war in Bosnia has been a painful part of their everyday lives. Esed and Jamila Mahidic and their 3 children came to Boulder a year ago from a refugee camp in Bosnia. They feel fortunate to be away from the chaos, but tortured by the separation from their families.
She never can forget her father and mother. She dreamed of them.
Got to walk on a field I can't take anymore.
Bosnia is 5,000 miles from Colorado, half a world away. It's hard to relate. But when you look more closely, you see a people very much like ourselves, who want the same things we do. The chance to be happy and live in peace. And now that the shooting has stopped, they have a chance to do that again.
Tomorrow on 9 News at 10, we'll tell you about Boulder's contribution. The city has provided a home for part of a family from Bosnia, but they had to leave the rest of the family behind. And we were able to give them a video reunion, and that was a wonderful experience, and we'll be telling you about that tomorrow night.
It must have been a fascinating trip over there.
Was.
How about concerns for safety? Of course, every journalist wonders about that when he's going into a war area like that.
We did wonder. Getting into Sarajevo in itself was an experience because we had to pass through a number of checkpoints. English was never spoken, and we had a translator, so we just had to sit there and wait and see what would happen.
Hope for the best.
Yeah, but they always waved us through. We had very few inspections. We didn't have to show very much. Once we got to Sarajevo, I had no security anxieties at all. It was very safe.
Fascinating. Thanks a lot, Ed.
Okay.
Tonight on 9 News at 10, Ed Sardella and 9 News photojournalist Chris Wheeler begin showing us the results of their recent trip to Bosnia. Tonight, the story of a divided Bosnian family. They lost their homes in the war, so more than a dozen people are crammed now into a small home with very little money. The other part of the family is in Boulder, and they have a solemn responsibility.
Esed and Jamila Mahidic and their 3 children are among the fortunate few Bosnians. Some Coloradans arranged for them to escape a refugee camp and settle in Boulder. Despite the war, it was a difficult decision to leave their home and family.
I talked with my brother, and we agreed that one of us must escape this situation and help the family by sending money they could make in the United States.
This is my brother.
The decision to leave Bosnia was especially painful for Jamila. She has not seen her parents for 4 years, and she fears she will never see them again.
She never can forget her father and mother. She dreamed of them.
And Ed will tell us the rest of their story tonight on 9 News at 10. He's with us now in the newsroom to tell us about their trip to Bosnia. Ed, I want to ask you, you report on Bosnia every day. Did your trip clear up any misconceptions you might have had about the place?
Well, I think one of the main consequences of a trip like this is you go with preconceived notions about whether America is the world's policeman or not, and when you get there, you realize that this outside help, whether it's provided by the United States or the other United Nations countries, this outside help is absolutely necessary to stop the killing. They've been killing each other now for 4 years, and it's just inhumane, and so I don't know if the United States has to stop it, but somebody does.
Somebody somebody's got to actually step in and provide them with some help. But, you know, how do they even get by day to day? I mean, do they find some inner strength or something? Or?
Well, that's the most incredible story of all in Sarajevo, and that is that they just kept up their resolve and determination to survive. And when the shelling started, and Sarajevo is surrounded by hills, and so the gunners would just get up on the hills and just pea shoot down into the city. And when the shelling started, they got shelter anywhere that they could. They ventured out, they got food, they got water, they cut down virtually every tree in Sarajevo to burn for warmth because the gas was shut off, the water was off. So the story of the Sarajevo people is a heroic story. It's incredible.
Just instincts of survival, I guess, take over.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Do you hear about the generational hatred between the Serbs and the Croats? Is it something that you could see on the streets?
Well, to a large extent, no, because the ethnic cleansing works both ways. That is, that most of the people that are left in Sarajevo now are Muslims. There are still Croats and Serbs living there, but those are the ones who don't claim their nationalistic heritage. Sarajevo lived with the three ethnic groups side by side, working together, intermarrying, having children for years, and all of a sudden they became enemies. Some of those chose not to be enemies, and they remain in town, but to a large degree, Bosnia is now split up into those ethnic groups.
Look forward to your report tonight, Ed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and once again, Ed tells us the story of the reunion of the Bosnian family on 9 News tonight at 10.
The war in Bosnia left tens of thousands of refugees either living in camps or surviving day-to-day in a strange city. Among them, the Mehitic and the Sirovina families, two brothers married to two sisters. And when one of the couples got the chance to come to Colorado, the rest of the family decided they must go and leave the others behind. The streets in and around Tuzla are packed with people. Refugees who fled the horrors of war. The world has come to know this as ethnic cleansing. Thousands of innocent Bosnians killed or driven from their homes just because they're part of the wrong ethnic group. Esed and Jamila Mehitic and their 3 children are among the fortunate few Bosnians. Some Coloradans arranged for them to escape a refugee camp and settle in Boulder. Despite the war, it was a difficult decision to leave their home and family.
I talked with my brother, and we agreed that one of us must escape this situation and help the family by sending money they could make in the United States.
This is my brother.
The decision to leave Bosnia was especially painful for Jamila. She has not seen her parents for 4 years, and she fears she will never see them again.
She never can forget her father and mother. She dreams of them.
Esed and Jamila asked us to take some money to their family in Bosnia. On the muddy outskirts of Tuzla, we find Esed's brother, Niaz.
We have family inside the house. Please come in and shoot some video.
Inside are Esed's father and Jamila's older brother and 2 sisters and their families.
And when did he see Jamila last?
4 years before the war.
Before the war, they enjoyed a good living. Now they are refugees, and living is day to day.
The family in Boulder gave us some money to give to you. And here it is right here. Okay? Good luck. Very good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Without this money, we could not survive.
Well, I'm glad we were able to bring it to you, and I wish you lots of luck.
Okay.
The money will help, but it will not ease the intense pain caused by the separation of their family.
I
desperately want to see my son soon. I'm afraid I will die before I see him again.
Please say hello to my sister. And tell her not to worry, that we are doing all right.
I'm old and tired. My nerves are bad. I want to see my grandchildren one more time. I thank God my son and his family are alive and safe in America.
Absent from this reunion of sorts are Jamila's parents. They are alive and safe, but not well. And Jamila doesn't think they have much time left.
I am afraid that I will never see my parents alive again.
She did see her parents again on tape. Photojournalist Chris Wheeler and I had to trudge through mud for about a mile and then slip and slide down a steep slope where her parents were, just outside Tuzla, and we'll tell you their part of the story tomorrow night.
And with the prospects of peace, is there renewed hope among this type of family?
Well, there's hope and yet there's not, because they know that the peace is a direct result of the Americans and the United Nations troops being there. What happens when they leave? They're supposed to leave after a year, President Clinton has promised. So mid-December, we'll know.
There are many Coloradoans among the 20,000 U.S. troops in Bosnia. Ed Sardella and 9 News photojournalist Chris Wheeler visited with a few of them at their base in Tuzla on their recent trip to Bosnia. Chris and Ed are telling us their stories from Bosnia this week on 9 News at 10.
And Ed is with us in the newsroom. Ed, how long is the tour for U.S. troops in Bosnia?
Paul, it varies according to the branch of service. Some of the air controllers we visited with are already home, but generally, for the ground troops, the grunts they call them, the tour is 6 months. The troops were very enthusiastic when they first got there, but their peacekeeping assignment soon becomes pretty boring.
It is difficult duty in a place that can be inhospitable.
The weather is probably the biggest getter. It's got snow at night, it gets nice during the day, and a lot of mud.
I have to be honest with you, when we first came down here, I was totally against the U.S. presence coming down here and doing this mission in Bosnia.
For 20,000 U.S. troops, duty in Bosnia has become dreary and monotonous. But a real eye-opener for Army Infantry Captain Thomas Bacardi. He grew up in Colorado Springs.
I was shocked. It literally looked like a World War II battlefield. It was unbelievable. It's definitely a sight to see when you come to an old war-torn country and you look around and see that there was actually people living in those homes.
It's the people of Bosnia who have convinced the troops that the U.S. belongs here. During the last 4 years, the images have become tragically familiar. The U.S. and the rest of the world watched as hundreds of thousands of innocent Bosnians were driven from their homes just because of their nationality. And they were the lucky ones. It's estimated 250,000 people have died in the 4 years of conflict. 10,000 died in Sarajevo alone, and hundreds of them are buried in what used to be a soccer field. Seeing man's inhumanity to men has been sobering for the U.S. troops. Sergeant Dave Tuas, a graduate of Arvada High School, has been particularly touched by the children.
For example, yesterday we went downtown. We went up by the elementary school, and we were talking to the kids up there. And if you look at the front of the elementary school, there's a whole bunch of holes in it, which was left by the fighting factions when they threw grenades at the elementary school. And that kind of made me angry. So if we need to come down here to show brute force to stop them from throwing hand grenades at an elementary school, I think we need to be here.
The people of Bosnia are beginning to believe peace has really come. They're grateful to the United States for sending troops, but they openly wonder why it took us so long. The future hinges on an uneasy peace. Maintaining the peace requires the troops to think of themselves not only as soldiers, but as diplomats and friends.
Now I've been here, been downtown, a lot of off-base convoys, talked to a lot of people, the locals, and now I'm all for the mission down here. I think it's a very important mission that needs to be done.
Now, we arranged a video reunion between a Bosnian woman who now lives with her family in Boulder and her parents who are in Bosnia. She hasn't seen them in 4 years. The parents are getting older and they're not in very good health, and so the daughter is afraid that she may never see her parents again. But we were able to arrange a video interview for them to see each other on video. It's a very emotional reunion, and we'll show it to you on 9 News at 10.
Ed, they seem to be keeping the peace. Is it much of an effort for U.S. troops? I mean, are they active in surveillance and things like that there?
Well, what they have to do, and what they have done, is get right in the middle, in between the warring factions. In fact, Captain Bacardi there, he is in charge of an infantry unit that is literally in between, and he visits with Serbs on one side and Muslims on the other virtually every day. They come to him with their complaints, and he kind of rules that little area. And so that is the peacekeeping mission, is to separate them and keep them separated.
Is there a definite set date when the U.S. troops will leave Bosnia?
Well, of course, President Clinton has promised the country that the U.S. troops are going to be out within a year, and that's December 15th. And he's kind of painted himself in a box because the conventional thinking is that as soon as the NATO troops pull out, then the war is going to start again. Why go through all of the effort of being there for a year and keeping the peace only to have the war start again? So I think there's going to have to be some revision of policy. I don't know exactly what it is.
Sounds like some kind of a compromise or something.
Ed, thanks very much, Ed. We'll see you report at 10.
Okay. Lives in Boulder with her husband and children. They're Bosnians, chosen by their families to come to America to earn money to help support the others back home. Jamila's parents are aging. They're not in good health, and Jamila doesn't think she'll ever see them again. 9 News photojournalist Chris Wheeler and I went to Bosnia to give them a video reunion. Esed and Jamila Mehidic enjoy and appreciate their life in Colorado. They moved their family to Boulder last year, escaping the war in Bosnia, their homeland. But there is a terrible void in their lives. Family.
I can't imagine that I will ever see my parents again alive because of their age.
Jamila's parents were among the thousands of Muslims driven out of their homes by ethnic cleansing last year. Many of them ended up in Tuzla. And it is here that we find Rejo Siravina, Jamila's father.
My name is Ed, and we're from a television station in Denver.
4 years of war are etched on Rejo's face. The pain of being a refugee is exceeded only by the pain of separation.
When was the last time you saw Jamila? That's okay. It's okay. It's very hard, isn't it? It's very hard.
It's been more than 4 years since Rejo last saw his daughter.
I want to see her.
Thanks to technology, he can see her. We shot this videotape of the family in Boulder just before our trip to Bosnia.
5 years is a long time. I really miss my daughter and her family.
Watching with Rejo is Pemba Sirovina, Jamila's mother.
My daughter looks very beautiful, like an apple.
They are happy to see their daughter and grandchildren safe and in good health. But they are saddened that this is the only way they can see them.
She never can forget her father and mother. She dreams of them.
I dream of them every night. But it is easier for me when I see them on TV.
It is an odd way for the Sirovinas to be reunited with their daughter, but it is the only way for now.
And we know you can't be together, but we hope that this will be second best.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Back in Boulder, they are the images the family has been dreaming of.
My name is Ed, and we're from a television station in Denver, which is very near where Jamila lives.
This reunion of sorts is a bittersweet one, and at times overwhelming.
My parents are not in good health. They didn't get the medical attention they needed during the war. They look a lot older than I thought they would.
The sad truth is, Jamila may never see her parents in person again, but she can always find comfort in knowing that her mother and father will always be with her. just the touch of a button away.
Tomorrow night on 9 News at 10, kids in Colorado do their part to help kids in Bosnia.
Watching that, I think the one thing that struck me was the aging in her parents' face. They aren't, how old are they?
We asked how old they were, actually, and we got two different answers. One was early 70s, and the other was late 60s. And when we heard late 60s, it's...
They look so much older.
Right. The father has been sick most of his life. He never got proper treatment for an illness that he had when he was young, and that's what they're concerned about.
Look forward to tomorrow.
Mary O'Callahan heard there was a shortage of pencils and other school supplies in Bosnia, so she started collecting them at her daycare center in Castle Rock. 9 News photojournalist Chris Wheeler and I offered to deliver some of them to a school in Sarajevo. UNICEF arranged it for us.
It has been 4 years of hell for these fifth graders. Their school in a suburb of Sarajevo was destroyed by Serb shells. Their town was on the front lines and constantly under siege. Through it all, the students have continued to go to school in a makeshift classroom.
It was very difficult for us to go to school because there was shelling. But still, we went to school and we did our best with the few supplies we had.
Paper, pens, and pencils have become precious commodities in Bosnia. One child offered to trade a landmine for a pencil.
Does everyone remember why we're sending pencils to Bosnia?
Because they lost the pencils in a fire.
Mary Callahan of Castle Rock heard about the pencil shortage from an Army friend stationed in Tuzla.
And I was just touched by the story, and I felt if those kids needed something as basic as a pencil, we needed to help. Kendra, you want to put your pencils up there, honey?
Mary's preschoolers at the Colorado Sunshine Learning Center are collecting pencils, paper, and other supplies to send to Bosnian children. Since January, they have collected more than 700,000 pencils.
The response has been more than I could have ever imagined because people are calling from all over the country.
Very heavy.
We offered to deliver some of the pencils to the fifth graders in Sarajevo.
Dear children, we live in Castle Rock, Colorado.
Draga djeca, mi živimo u Castle Rocku.
We hope you like the colorful pencils we sent you.
Nadamo se da će vam...
And it is signed Grandma Mary and the kids at Colorado Sunshine Learning Center.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Pencil for you.
It's hard to imagine something so simple being so treasured.
Here's some tape to take home. Please. Please is very good. A pencil from Colorado.
I just want to thank the children in Colorado. We are very pleased to get the present. It means so much to us.
Enjoy the pencil. I hope you do good work with that.
For these kids, the war is something they must somehow try to forget. But they will always remember the generosity of children in Colorado who cared about them when they needed it most.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
As of a few days ago, Mary and the kids at Colorado Sunshine Learning Center had collected more than 700,000 pencils and more than 3,000 pounds of paper and other supplies, all for the kids in Bosnia. Tomorrow night, Colorado children send love and encouragement to kids in Bosnia. And two more things.
Okay.
Number one, you mentioned that Nino was in there. Nino,
yes,
of course, is our mascot. And we'll tell you about Nino. I had to explain who Nino is.
What is that?
It wasn't easy.
I'm sure it
But
wasn't.
we'll talk about that tomorrow on, I think, either 9 News or 4 or 5.
Okay.
And the building that you saw a very brief shot of, that was the Olympic Village of 1984.
Looks like apartments.
Yeah, they're now apartments, and it's just shot up. It's just
incredible,
awful.
Isn't it? Ew.
Well, for the first time in 4 years, the children of Sarajevo in Bosnia can go to school without worrying about whether they're going to be shelled. There hasn't been any serious fighting in Bosnia since mid-December.
A number of schools in Colorado have sponsored projects to make sure the kids in Sarajevo know they have not been forgotten. and 9 News has been involved in a couple of those. Ed Sardella is in the newsroom to tell us about them. Ed, you visited a couple of schools while you were there recently, right?
Yes, we did. 9 News photojournalist Chris Wheeler and I delivered school supplies collected by a daycare center in Castle Rock, and we took them to a school in Sarajevo. We showed you that last night. Well, we also put in a few 9 News 9-0 stuffed dolls in the shipping bins to hand out to the kids in Sarajevo, and I had the job of trying to explain to the kids who 9-0 is.
This is a person named Nino, N-I-N-O.
Ovo je jedna figura, osoba koja se zove Nino, to jest deveta, tako nešto kod nas bilo.
And our television station is Channel 9, so Nino is the mascot of our television station. Okay, who wants a Nino? There you go. Have a Nino. Okay, you're welcome. Now, what's his name?
Azra.
No.
My name is Azra.
Your name is what?
Azra.
And what is his name?
9.
9-0. 9-0. Okay.
Baby.
Who said 9-0? There you go. You're welcome.
So 9-0 and 9 News now have a following among the kids in Sarajevo. Now, on our report tonight, some school kids in Fort Lupton wrote pen pal letters to kids in Sarajevo, and Chris Wheeler and I delivered the letters to a school in Sarajevo and asked the kids there to answer the letters. And Kim and Paul will be showing you that tonight on 9 News at 10.
That'll be great to see. The kids are so outgoing, considering what they've been through, Ed.
Yes, and that's very disillusioning, and it's something that we had to get used to right away. I don't know. When you get to town, you expect to find depression or kids screaming out of trauma, but the kids were very normal, at least outwardly. And the thing that you have to be concerned about, though, is that there is a lot of trauma there, and it's the same as post-traumatic stress syndrome that our Vietnam vets and others have gone through. And child welfare experts tell us that these kids are going to go through that too, so there's some real tough times ahead for them as they become adults.
I'm sure it's a long road back. Ed, thanks very much. We'll look for your report again tonight at 10.
Okay. The children of Sarajevo in Bosnia has survived 4 years of terror, but now that the shooting has stopped, they need love, reassurance, and encouragement. Children in Colorado want to help. Kids at a school in Fort Lupton wrote pen pal letters to children in Sarajevo, and 9 News photographer Chris Wheeler and I offered to deliver them and get the replies. At first glance, they could be kids anywhere, kids in Colorado. But these kids have endured 4 years of war. For the children of Sarajevo, bombed-out buildings have become playgrounds. Tanks and soldiers as much a part of their lives as streetcars and storekeepers. What happens to the children is the saddest consequence of war.
The children have a very short attention span. They have trouble sleeping, a lot of depression. And there's a sort of non-belief in anything.
These are children who live in Bosnia.
5,000 miles from Sarajevo, the children of Colorado learn difficult lessons about kids just like them.
If they went out to the street, they could have got shot or killed.
The third graders of Butler School in Fort Lupton care enough to get involved. They use weapons more powerful than tanks and mortars.
Dear friend, hi.
They use the healing power of words.
I wish the war would stop soon. Tell your family that I said hi, only if you have a family.
There is still no mail service in Sarajevo. The post office was one of the first buildings destroyed by Serb guns. During our visit, we were able to hand-deliver the letters from Colorado to fourth graders in Sarajevo.
I would like you to answer these questions. Why do you fight? How did it start?
What would it mean for the kids here to get letters from kids in Colorado?
It means that they are connected again, and that there are people out there thinking about them. I mean, I think the worst thing on earth is to feel forgotten, and they have felt forgotten.
My name is Wendy. My favorite colors are green and yellow. I wish you and your people would stop fighting.
The letters help ease the pain inflicted by 4 years of war.
I'm very glad to have many friends in the USA and Colorado especially. I like hearing the letters and want to write back.
And for the kids in Colorado, writing the letters teaches valuable lessons. Lessons of courage, caring, and friendship.
And we just want to let them know that we're their friends all through whatever happens. Your friend Mitchell, love Nicole. Please write back.
And tomorrow night, our last report. Impressions of an Olympic city, badly wounded but surviving.
These kids are adorable.
They
really
really
are precious. Now, they can't go through counseling, can they? I mean, how are they working through everything they've been through?
Well, it's going to be a gradual process. This is very much like post-traumatic syndrome,
Right.
and so this is going to go on for years. This woman, Judith Genya, that we were talking to, she is based in Colorado at the moment. She runs camps, summer camps, and takes kids that have been through the wars and takes them to the camp and gives them a couple of weeks away from the wreckage and away from what they left behind, and
That's
that helps them.
therapeutic.
Yeah, very much so. I remember the TV coverage of the '84 Winter Olympics in Sarajevo in what is now Bosnia. That was the year Scott Hamilton brought the gold in figure skating home to Denver. The TV coverage described Sarajevo as a grand cosmopolitan city with exciting nightlife. So I was unprepared for what I saw when 9 News photojournalist Chris Wheeler and I visited Sarajevo, a city that became the focal point of a brutal war.
When you see the consequences of war for the first time, you can't help but wonder, why do we do this to each other? It is particularly bewildering in Sarajevo. One day, people who lived and worked together, intermarried, had children, became enemies, bent on killing each other. A few years ago, their heritage didn't matter. Then it became a matter of life and death. Buildings became shooting galleries. Offices and apartments and the people in them destroyed by rockets fired from a few buildings away. The sniper and the victim may have known each other, may have done business together. The National Library was an inviting target for the gunners on the hills. It was Bosnia's showpiece. Now it's in ruins. The stairway becomes a snowslide, and a cord that once supported a lighting fixture is now an amusement for children. Children who have endured the terror of war, now trying to be children again. And when a stranger turns up with a simple thing like a pen, they all gather around to enjoy the moment. The children. The consequence of war is not painted on their faces, nor worn on their sleeves, but it will emerge years from now, adult trauma from which they may never recover. Why do we do this to each other? Little was spared, not even a landmark from the Olympic Games. The Olympic arena is where Scott Hamilton won his gold medal in 1984. And next door is a soccer field, converted to a cemetery because they ran out of room to bury their dead. All of the people here, hundreds of grave markers, all of them died between 1992 and 1995, and most of them in the prime of their life. Here's one, 39 years old, 30 years old, 28. People died riding on trolleys, desperately trying to find water or food. Cars and trucks became barricades to try to stop the rockets from killing more people. When the UN came and the shooting stopped, they emerged from their shelters and told the world, we are still here. We have defied the rockets and the shells. We have survived. But there's not a building in sight that isn't damaged, not a person left untouched. Why do we do this to each other?
Now, many of you have contacted us about our report on Tuesday, asking if you can help reunite the Mihedic family. You just saw the father. Mother and father are in Bosnia. Their daughter and her family are in Boulder. A reunion just isn't possible right now, but we're going to give you an address in case you want to help in another way. The family in Boulder still has a big debt from their move from Bosnia. If you'd like to help pay that debt, send a donation to the Mihedic Travel Fund. It's spelled M-E-H-E-D-I-C. Bank of Boulder, Box 9032, Boulder 80301. Once more, care of the Bank of Boulder, Box 9032, Boulder 80301.
And they have a lot of readjustment to do.